Get a grip, then get a chip. Won't even trip, though my cup was running over. I took only a sip. Stay hippin', then I'm hopping, I'm dropping. It won't be flopping, no shock. Like whatever I'm selling, you will be copping. He was the strongest, though he was the one that cried. And he chose to kill his brother, cause he was from that side. And why? He chose this son, cause this one had pride. And instead of the narrow road, he chose the one that's wide. Sometimes the one that won was the one that tried. And the one who pulled the gun was the one that died. Looking good, a good look is the one that's fine. If I had to pick, fly would be the one that's mine. G-O-D, in the place to be. Attendee, Hard Knocks University. And since kindergarten, they've been hiding the knowledge. Homeboy is self-taught, never went to college. I'm brown skinned, I'm from Pelon. Rainy alarm, but I remain cool and calm. Reading Psalm, fire like napalm bomb. It's the content creator with force like Darth Vader. Back on the track with the facts and all that. One path is the way that I'm taking, getting closer to God in the tight situation. We are in the information age on Do You Know Your Value page. Tonight we're going over the Annotated Glossary from Cracking the Code 3rd edition, starting where we left off. So without further ado, let us begin. Bailey. Bailey means the person who, by a warehouse receipt, bill of lading, or other document of title, acknowledges possession of goods and contracts to deliver them. That's UCC 71021A. Bailment, a delivery or something of a personal nature by one party to another to be held according to the purpose or object of the delivery and to be returned or delivered over when that purpose is accomplished. That's Bouvier's 8th. Note, a cycle of bailment commences when a mother delivers a baby, something of a personal nature, to the state by signing the birth certificate and registering and surrendering legal title to the biological property, in other words, the baby's body. See dummy, surety, appearance. Bank. Bank means an organization that is engaged in the business of banking. The term includes savings banks, savings and loans associations, credit unions, and trust companies. UCC 91028. 8. C person. Bank acceptance. Draft drawn on and accepted by a bank. Draft drawn on and accepted by a bank. Bouvier's 8th. Banker. In general sense, person that engages in business of banking. In narrow meaning, a private person who keeps a bank, one who is engaged in the business of banking without being incorporated. One who carries on the business of banking by receiving money on deposit with or without interest, by buying and selling bills of exchange, promissory notes, bonds, or stock, or other securities, and by loaning money without being incorporated. Under some statutes, an individual banker, as distinguished from a private banker, is a person who, having complied with the statutory requirements, has received authority from the state to engage in the business of banking, while a private banker is a person engaged in banking without having any special privileges or authority from the state. Black 6. See private bank. Banker's acceptance. Bill of exchange, draft payable at maturity that is drawn by a creditor against his or her debtor. Bankers' acceptances are short-term credit instruments most commonly used by persons or firms engaged in international trade. They are comparable to short-term government securities, for example, treasury bills, and may be sold on the open market at a discount. Blacks 6. The bill of exchange drawn on and accepted by a commercial bank. Black 7th. See bank, banker, private bank, House Joint Resolution 192 on June 5th, 1933. Banker's note, a commercial instrument resembling a banknote in every particular, except that it is given by a private banker or unincorporated banking institution. Blacks first, see bank, private bank. Bankruptcy, popularly defined as insolvency, the inability of a debtor to pay his debts as they become due. Technically, however, it is the legal process under the Federal Bankruptcy Act by which assets of the debtor are liquidated as quickly as possible to pay off his creditors and to discharge the bankrupt or free him of his debts so he can start anew. In reorganization, on the other hand, liquidation may be avoided and the debtor may continue to function, pay his creditors, and carry on business. Barron's 3rd. Mr. Speaker, we are now here in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization Of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act of March 9, 1933, 48 Stat 1, Public Law 89-719, declared by President Roosevelt, being bankrupt and insolvent. House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress, in session, June 5th, 1933. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States government and the official capacities of all United States governmental officers and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. Congressional Record, March 17, 1993, Volume 33, see Chapter 11, Reorganization. Bar, in the first sense, a partition or railing running across a courtroom intending to separate the general public from the space occupied by the judges, counsel, jury, and others concerned in the trial of the cause. The whole body of attorneys and counselors, or the members of the legal profession, collectively, who are figuratively called the bar. They are thus distinguished from the bench, which term denotes the whole body of judges. Blacks 6. Barratry in maritime law, an act committed by the master or mariners of a vessel for some unlawful or fraudulent purpose, contrary to their duty to the owners, whereby the latter sustain injury. It may include negligence, if so gross as to evidence fraud. In criminal law, common barratry is the practice of exciting groundless judicial proceedings. Blacks first, see note. Note, both definitions apply equally in the courtroom. In the first, the master is the judge. In some jurisdictions, judges are called masters. The mariners are the attorneys. The vessel is your trade name. The only rightful owner of the vessel is you, and the injury to you, the owner, is the loss of wealth or freedom. In the second, the judges and attorneys proceed against you without the requisite claim to do so, acting on behalf of fictitious entities, in other words, corporations/governments. Per Erie Railroad versus Tompkins, 1938, 304 U.S. 64-92. The bankruptcy of 1933 had placed everything under the 14th Amendment. Erie's ruling that there was no more general federal common law was open admission of anarchy/tyranny. Law and contracts fell under a private colorable law merchant and colorable admiralty maritime. The special federal common law, see special, of the Uniform Commercial Code. Issues are decided in general, see general. Equity, conscience of the court, not special equity. Explicit terms of express contracts. Adopting private commercial paper as money resulted in at-law mixture of public maritime bankruptcy, equity, etc. in the same court. The judge moves between one and the other as the situation indicates, including shifting from equity into admiralty in order to impose criminal penalties in civil matters. This is why you must post a bond, something normally reserved for civil proceedings, on a misdemeanor traffic citation, a criminal proceeding, even though the matter is actually civil in nature. Arguing the Constitution is frivolous since one has long since consented with what is happening. Bearer. Bearer means the person in possession of an instrument, document of title, or certificated security payable to bearer or endorsed in blank. UCC 12015. Bill. Commercial transactions. A written statement of the terms of a contract or specification of the terms of a contract or of a demand. Also a general name for any item of indebtedness, whether receivable or payable. Blacks 6. Also the creditor's written statement of his claim, specifying the items. Blacks first. In mercantile law, the creditor's written statement of his claim specifying the items. It differs from an account stated in this, that a bill is the creditor's statement. An account stated is a statement that has been assented to by both parties. Bouvier's 8th. Bill of exchange, a written order from A to B, directing B to pay C a certain sum of money therein named. A bill of exchange is an instrument negotiable in form by which one who is called the drawer requests another called the drawee to pay a specified sum of money. A bill of exchange is an order by one person called the drawer or maker to another called the drawee or acceptor to pay money to another who may be the drawer himself, called the payee, or his order, or to the bearer. If the payee or bearer transfers the bill by endorsement, he then becomes the endorser. Blacks first, see note, payee. Note, it has recently been discovered that the IRS has its own bank account, semi-secret, called the Treasury Tax and Loan Account, or TTL, in every banking financial institution that deals in Federal Reserve notes. It has also been verified that IRS levies are affected from the Special Procedures Function Department or Office via simple fax, bill of exchange, instructing the particular bank, savings and loan, credit union, brokerage house, etc., to debit the depositor's taxpayer's account and credit the TTL. Bill of lading. In common law, the written evidence for the contract and carriage and delivery of goods sent by sea for a certain freight. Blacks first. See note. Birth. The act of being born or wholly brought into separate existence. Blacks first. See note and note at birth record. Note, a man or a woman is born. Trade names are wholly brought into separate existence. Each event qualifies as a birth. The birth certificate document a muddled mixture of the two events that allows the system to both claim that it is your birth certificate, yet also claim to hold legal title of, not ownership of, the corporately colored trade name. Birth certificate, a formal document which certifies as to the date and place of one's birth and the recitation of his or her parentage, as issued by an official in charge of such records. Furnishing of such is often required to prove one's age. Blacks 6. See note, birth record, document of title, field warehouse receipt, bond. Note, a birth certificate is a negotiable document. See document. A registered security. See securities. Pedigree chattel. See chattel. Document that establishes the existence of the straw man. See straw man. A distinct artificial person. See artificial person. With a fictitious trade name. See fictitious name. Document of title for a straw man. Warehouse receipt. See field warehouse receipt. For your body, delivery receipt. For many years, the designator, U.S. Department of Commerce, Bureau of the Census, appeared on birth certificates. In America, the original birth document is generally created at county level, sometimes at city level, via birth records from the hospital. The source of the following information is U.S. Vital Statistics System, Major Activities and Developments, 1950 to 1995. Published by United States Department of Health and Human Services. Beginning with the 1939 revision, the birth certificate became the standard certificate of live birth, and there have been 11 different subsequent issues of this document. The National Office of Vital Statistics had its beginnings in 1935 when the Division of Vital Statistics, then in the Bureau of the Census, was mandated to promote a cooperative system of vital statistics and vital records. From the earliest days of their existence, the American Bar Association and American Medical Association provided strong support for establishing offices to collect vital statistics. From page 47 of the book, from this time, 1836 forward, the course of registration and vital statistics was to be recognized as basic to the development of public health organization and practice. Part of the motivation of the act was to improve vital records as legal documents for the security of property. Underline emphasis added. Vital records are legal documents for the security of your private property, your true name and trade names, whatever name appears on the documents. The source of the following information is the Model State Vital Statistics Act and Regulations, 1992 revision, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Live birth is defined as follows. Live birth means the complete expulsion or extraction from its mother of a product of human conception, irrespective of the duration of the pregnancy, which after such expulsion or extraction breathes or shows any other evidence of life, such as beating of the heart, pulsation of the umbilical cord, or definite movement of voluntary muscles, whether or not the umbilical cord has been cut or the placenta is attached. Heartbeats are to be distinguished from transient cardiac contractions. Respirations are to be distinguished from fleeting respiratory efforts or gasps. Underline emphasis added. The National Office of Vital Statistics was established in the Public Health Service in 1946, with the head of the office reporting directly to the Surgeon General, a military commander. This means that collection, maintenance, and dissemination of all vital statistics. This means that collection, maintenance, and dissemination of all vital statistical information are in the hands of the military, as dictated over by the Commander-in-Chief. Section 24 of the Act, copies from the System of Vital Statistics, contains this most revelatory passage. A, the state register and other custodians of vital records authorized by the state register to issue certified copies shall, upon receipt of an application, issue a certified copy of a vital record in his or her custody or a part thereof to the registrant, his or her spouse, children, parents, or guardian, or their respective authorized representative. Others may be Others may be authorized to obtain certified copies when they demonstrate that the record is needed for the determination or protection of his or her personal or property right. The state agency may adopt regulations to further define those who may obtain copies of vital records filed under this act. Underline and bold emphasis added. Per the act, all state registrars are merely custodians of property and look after your personal property. In other words, the true name and trade names. You are the rightful owner of that property. The so-called custodian can be lawfully commanded by the rightful owner, you, not to give out the property to anyone else. Such an order would put a permanent roadblock in the path of any who would use the name to make money at any level of government. That property could not be touched by anyone other than a state register and you might even be able to demand surrender of custodianship of the property and receive it. Note also that the act uses the non-judicial common law term authorized representative instead of a statutory term. The American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, the American Bar Association, and the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Laws received acknowledgement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for their input in the revision of the act. End of data from Model State Vital Statistics, Act and regulations. Per the definition of birth above, the document references both the newborn baby and the straw man trade name. A certified birth certificate may usually be obtained at county, state level, depending on the state in question. Your birth certificate is a one-of-a-kind security instrument in which your property is reposed. The first known evidence of government placing a dollar value on people per head is contained in the draft of proposed legislation, which is supposed to originate within the legislative branch at the House of Representatives. From President Abraham Lincoln on July 14th, 1862, contained on page 3,285 of Messages and Papers of the Presidents. A man in Santa Barbara, California, who obtained his original birth record document from the Department of Commerce some years ago via a Freedom of Information Act request, reported endorsements of 17 different foreign countries on the document. There may also be other types of birth documents used by the U.S. government and others to obtain loans of credit. Birth record, official statistical data concerning dates and places of persons' birth as well as parentage, kept by local government officials. Black's birth. See note, birth certificate. Note, under birth certificate, the definition references one's birth, and under birth record, the definition references a person's birth. One means flesh and blood, man, woman. Person means artificial entity, juristic person. See individual. Blank. See blank endorsement in blank. Blank endorsement. The endorsement of a bill of exchange or promissory note by merely writing the name of the endorser without mentioning any person to whom the bill or note is to be paid. Called blank because a blank or space is left over it for the name of the insertion of the endorsee or of any subsequent holder, otherwise called an endorsement in blank. Black's first. Endorser, he who endorses. In other words, being the payee or holder, writes his name on the back of a bill of exchange, etc. Black's first. Endorsee, the person to whom a bill of exchange, promissory note, bill of lading, etc. is assigned by endorsement, giving him a right to sue thereon. Black's first. Bona fide purchaser. A bona fide purchaser is a purchaser for value in good faith and without of any adverse claim who takes delivery of a security in bearer form or of one in registered form issued to him or endorsed to him or in blank. UCC 8302. One who has purchased property for value without any notice of any defects in the title of the seller. Black 6. One who pays a valuable consideration, has no notice of outstanding rights of other acts, have no notice of outstanding rights of others, and acts in good faith concerning the purchase. That's Barron's third, see note. Note, when you consummate the redemption process, you are a bona fide purchaser of your birth certificate and trade name. Bond, a certificate or evidence of a debt on which the issuing company or governmental body promises to pay the bondholders a specified amount of interest for a specified length of time and to repay the loan on the expiration date. A long-term debt instrument that promises to pay the lender a series of periodic interest payments in addition to return the principal at maturity. In every case, a bond represents debt. Its holder is a creditor of the corporation and not a part owner, as is the shareholder. Black 6, see note, birth certificate, industrial bond. Note, the birth certificate is the bond instrument employed by the government to secure loans. Booty, the capture of personal property by a public enemy on land, in contradistinction to prize, which is a capture of such property at sea. After booty has been in complete possession of the enemy for 24 hours, it becomes absolutely his without any right of post limine in favor of the original owner, particularly when it has passed bona fide into the hands of a neutral. The right to booty belongs to the sovereign, but sometimes the right of the sovereign or of the public is transferred to the soldiers to encourage them. Bouvier's eighths. See note, Vice Admiralty Courts, prize law. Post limine or post liminium, a fiction of the civil law by which persons or things taken by the enemy were restored to their former status on coming again under the power of the nation to which they formerly belonged. Bouvier's eighth. Note, literally and legally, property taken from you by the IRS or the courts is booty. IRS soldiers are encouraged to capture booty by offering them rights in the booty they capture. It is believed that the agent on a particular case takes the taxpayer's first 6 payments in total and a significant percentage of any lump sum settlement proceeds. It is believed that 1/3 of the booty captured in the Maritime Vice Admiralty Court, example given traffic court, by the judge ends up in the judge's personal retirement fund. This would also explain the dramatic increase in the application of forfeiture laws and seizure laws in America over the last decade. Capacity. Legal capacity is the attribute of a person who can acquire new rights or transfer rights or assume duties according to the mere dictates of his own will, as manifested in juristic acts, without any restraint or hindrance arising from his status or legal condition. Ability, qualification, legal power, or right. Applied in this sense to the attribute of persons, natural or artificial, growing out of their status or juristic condition, which enables them to perform civil acts, as capacity to hold lands, capacity to devise, etc. Black's first. Capital letter. Of letters of the large size used at the beginning of a sentence or as the first letter of a proper name. Note, names written in all capital letters are artificially constructed names of artificial persons. See all capital letters written proper. Cash proceeds. Cash proceeds means proceeds that are money, checks, deposit accounts, or the like. UCC 9102A9. Census, the official counting or enumeration of the people of a state or nation with statistics of wealth, commerce, education, etc. In Roman law, a numbering or enrollment of the people with a valuation of their fortunes. Blacks first. See note, census, regalis, tax, taxpayer, see note. Note, the first definition, modern, above does not preclude the second, ancient. Please also note that the UCC filing offices operate in the private realm and that filings therein are not contingent upon the provision of identifying serial numbers, such as Social Security account numbers. Census regalis, the royal property or revenue, Bouvier's eighth. Certificate, a document in which a fact is formally attested. Black seventh, a written assurance or official representation that some act has or has not been done, or some event occurred, or some legal formality complied with. Black's first. Certificate of title. Certificate of title means a certificate of title with respect to which a statute provides for the security interest in question to be indicated on the certificate as a condition or result of the security interests obtaining priority over the rights of a lien creditor with respect to the collateral. UCC 9102A10. Certified check. See acceptance of draft. Ceste. He, used frequently in composition and law, French phrases. Blacks first. Ceste trust. One who possesses equitable rights and property and receives the rents, issues, and profits from it. Beneficiary. Black seventh. He who has a right to a beneficial interest in and out of an estate, the legal title to which is vested in another. The person who possesses the equitable right to property and receives the rents, issues, and profits thereof, the legal estate of which is vested in a trustee. Blacks first. See Ceste use. Note, Ceste trust is French for literally, he that trusts. This particular species of trust is known as a constructive trust and is constructed by operation of law, fiat. Such a trust is really only the appearance of a trust. In other words, it only looks as if it is a trust, but has no creator, trustor, grantor, settler, the flesh and blood party normally responsible for bringing the trust into existence. Per corpus juris secundum, every government is a constructive trust. Concerning with Black's fifth states, a trust raised by construction of law or arising by operation of law, as distinguished by an express trust. Constructive trusts do not arise by agreement or from intention, but by operation of law, and not all fraud, active or constructive. The U.S. government creates by operation of its law the colorable Sestate Trust and is, as the creator or constructor of the trust, the non-flesh and blood owner thereof. Every kinds of status concerning this trust. Every citizen of the United States is simultaneously a co-trustee and co-beneficiary by operation of law. As co-trustee, your strawman has duties and obligations such as paying taxes, obeying laws, and obtaining a license for almost every normal activity of life. As co-beneficiary, your juristic person strawman has benefits, privileges, and opportunities such as welfare, protection of the state, free delivery of mail, and use of the courts, etc. In court, the judge acts as executioner. In court, the judge acts as executor/administrator of the trust, managing the estates of the people who function as persons through the all capital letters juristic trade names, existing as fictitious entities under limited liability through a court proceeding. The judge decides which corporate debtor entity owes which other corporate creditor entity what money/specific performance, thereby constructing the terms of the constructive trust on the spot. The strawman is a non-living and therefore dead entity, and as a citizen of the United States based on the 1933 U.S. bankruptcy, also civilly dead in law, in other words, no standing in law, solvent. Such persons are thereby completely foreclosed from assessing substance, law, and sovereignty, and can possess only government-granted limited liability privileges. Example given, a driving privilege. Sestate use. The person for whose use and benefit property is being held by another who holds legal title to the property. Black 7th. He for whose use and benefit lands and tenements are held by another. The sestate use has the right to receive the profits and benefits of the estate, but the legal title and possession, as well as the duty of defending the same, reside in another. Blacks 1st. See Sestate Trust. CFR. See Code of Federal Regulations. Chapter 11, Reorganization. In addition to voluntary and involuntary proceeding in which a debtor is adjudged bankrupt under Chapter 11, a debtor is permitted to postpone all payments on debt so that he can reorganize his business, while other bankruptcy proceedings seek to have the debtor's assets sold and to have all the creditors paid to the extent possible. Chapter 11 seeks to give the debtor a breathing spell with the hope that his business will recover and all his creditors will be fully repaid. Barron's 3rd. Mr. Speaker, we are now here in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government. James A. Traficant, Jr., Congressional Record, March 17, 1933, Volume 33. See Note, Bankruptcy. Note, the U.S. government, a.k.a. United States Incorporated, a.k.a. Washington, D.C., is legally bankrupt and in Chapter 11 reorganization. The Secretary of the Treasury is the receiver in bankruptcy. Reorganization Plan Number 26, 1950, 5 USCA 903, Public Law 94-564. Legislative History, page 5,967, and runs the corporation on behalf of the creditor, the Federal Reserve. See also United States. Charge: to impose a burden, obligation, or lien, to create a claim against property, to claim, to demand, to instruct a jury on matters of law. In general, an encumbrance, lien, or burden, an obligation or duty, a liability, an accusation in contracts, an obligation binding upon him who enters into it, which may be removed or taken away by a discharge. Blacks 1st. Chargeback: the action of a bank in debiting or otherwise revoking a credit given to a customer's account, which credit usually has been given for a check deposited in the account. See Note, Chargeback. Chargeback: A collecting bank has a security interest in an item and any accompanying documents or the proceeds of either. 2, in case of an item for which it has given credit available for withdrawn as of right to the extent of the credit given, whether or not the credit is drawn upon or there is a right of chargeback. UCC 421082. And at this point in time, we're going to stop right here. people, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, people. People like, share, and subscribe to help with the analytics. Like, share, and subscribe to help with the analytics. And I got to say, I'm really enjoying my time with you people. But like I said, with these videos, I want to make them short and precise. I don't want to make them too long. And remember, you have to do your own research on all this information. Don't take my word for it. Don't even take the book knowledge word for it. Look up the definitions yourself. Look into all the documents that you come across, because you're only going to be good as you're only going to be as good as your own research. So people, be peaceful, stay blessed, and pray to pass God's tests. And I'll talk with you guys later.